The Canadian government had a military plan to deal with mean tweets about the government's handling, or rather mishandling, of the coronavirus pandemic, and we now have the unclassified Department of National Defence access to information documents to prove it. Justin Trudeau's Liberals intended to use the military to crack down on anti-government information during the coronavirus pandemic. And it would have happened had cooler heads in the military not put a stop to this Liberal plan to use military resources to stop the free speech of citizens. Canadians got the first whiff of all of this in this story in the Chronicle Herald from back in June. Canadian Forces Information Operations Pandemic Campaign squashed after details revealed to top general. The Canadian Forces planned what some military insiders described as a propaganda campaign aimed at heading off civil disobedience by the public during the coronavirus pandemic. But the initiative was shut down by the country's top soldier, who questioned whether it went too far in the methods military officers wanted to use. The campaign called for shaping and exploiting information, allowing the Canadian Forces to be able to strengthen trust in official sources of information, said a military planning document reviewed by this newspaper. One of the desired results was that civil order be maintained during the pandemic. Canadian public is deterred from participating in civil disobedience, according to the objectives of the plan. Canadian public compliance with suppression measures is reinforced. When Chief of the Defence Staff General John Vance was briefed about the information operations campaign, he ordered it stopped. Some senior military staff raised concerns the plan could be open to abuse in using propaganda or deception to manipulate the Canadian public. Here at Rebel News, we went looking for the documents referenced in that Chronicle Herald story, and now we have them to show you. It was all called Operation Laser. I can tell you now that the military planned a drill to practice their response to tweets the government didn't like about the coronavirus pandemic, monitoring lockdown skeptics who might damage the reputation of the government with their prickliness on social media. It's Stasi-level stuff, the kind of thing you might see happen in Trudeau's favorite dictatorship of China. Remember this?
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China, because their basic dictatorship.
Now, it's all here in this 15-page access to information document package we received back from the Department of National Defence. Look at this on page 13. The harmful information response drill. And now, before we try to excuse away harmful information as hostile propaganda from a foreign entity, they make it clear they're dealing with harmful information as opposed to propaganda. And you'll note they're using the word information, not misinformation in this, as in it's just information they don't want you to know. And if you look over here, you can see that the Department of National Defence was out to analyze the source of the information, the tweet, the account owner, the number of followers, and the probable location the tweet was coming from, like your house. The content of the tweet was in question, the audience of the tweet was important to the government, and the effectiveness of the tweet was too, including the number of retweets and likes, and if the tweet garnered significant media attention. This is crazy. On page 14, the dangerous threat the government wanted the Canadian Armed Forces to monitor tweets for was, quote, anything that can damage perception, confidence, or credibility. You see, the Liberals wanted the military monitoring their critics and pandemic skeptics. And all that stopped those Liberal tyrants was the military themselves. I'm sure we'd all be monitored by the military by now if Trudeau had his way. To read the full 15 pages of documents for yourself and to support our access to information investigation into the Liberal government, please go to propagandaplan.com. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. Justin Trudeau planned to use the Canadian military to monitor the tweets of coronavirus pandemic skeptics. It's outrageous to read all the documents and to support our ongoing efforts to use access to information to investigate the Trudeau Liberals. Please go to propagandaplan.com.